I am grateful to be here today, surrounded by this strong group of advocates and public officials as we announce the introduction of AB 366. Melvin Joseph Weibel was 88 years old. He was described as a wonderful friend and a kind neighbor who delivered fruit to his neighbors every week. On Saturday, Melvin was killed in Dana Point, which is a few miles away from the district that I represent. The person who killed him had 3 prior convictions for drunk driving. Sadly, Melvin's story is not unique. Drunk driving is an epidemic in America. Every single day, a drunk driver kills 37 Americans. That is 1 life lost every 39 seconds. And sadly, our state of California is the epicenter of this drunk driving crisis. California is home to 8 of the 10 cities with the highest per capita death rates as a result of drunk drivers. These cities are Sacramento, Los Angeles, San Jose, Bakersfield, Fresno, San Diego, Long Beach, and Oakland. And here in California, drunk driving deaths have gone up by more than 50% over the past 5 years. And we know that these are not just statistics. These are mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, neighbors and friends. Members, this is an urgent call to action. And the bill that we're introducing today, AB 366, is an opportunity for us to save lives, for us to stop these tragic and preventable deaths before the car even starts. AB 366 will require anyone who is convicted of a drunk driving offense to install an ignition interlock device, a breathalyzer. Current California law requires that repeat offenders, people who have been convicted of more than one drunk driving offense, install an ignition interlock device. But our current program is set to expire at the end of this year. So it is absolutely critical that we reauthorize, extend, and make this program permanent. This is also an opportunity for us to strengthen California's laws and protect our communities. So AB 366 will require that anyone convicted of a drunk driving offense the first time install an ignition interlock device. The good news is that we know IIDs work. 35 states across the country have laws that require an ignition interlock device for first-time offenders. And over the past 5 years, deaths in those states because of drunk driving have gone down. Extending and expanding California's program is a common sense step that will make our roads safer and save lives. I'm looking forward to working with all of you to take action and to pass AB 366 into law so that we can keep our communities and our roads safe. With that, I am really proud to be able to introduce my co-author, Senator Bob Archuleta. Thank you, Senator, for being here.
Oh, thank you. No doubt you've touched our hearts and our souls, and you've touched mine, Assembly Member. But let me begin by saying good morning to all of you who believe God and country and law and order, all of you who have families and children and men and women who go to work every day, and I guess too many just seem to celebrate a little bit too much, and that's why we're here. Save lives. So I am here to tell you that I'm a proud sponsor and co-author, supportive Assembly Member, that AB 366. And Petrie-Norris, the Assemblywoman who's put this together, thank you so very much, and God bless you for doing it. Extending California's ignition interlock device, and that program is so very important here in the state of California. I'm particularly happy to see the program expanded to all DUI including first-time offenders. Over 30 states, as you've heard, already have taken these steps, and California is on its way to joining the rest because lives are taken across this nation every single day. It includes taking these drunk drivers off the road and preventing accidents, no doubt, but saving lives. As some of you may know, my own granddaughter, listen to me, my own granddaughter was killed by a drunk driver over the holidays. Whatever you were doing Christmas Eve and decorating your tree, we got the news, my wife and I, and we drove to Victorville, crying all the way. Was it true? Was it really true? When we arrived, my daughter said it was definitely true. She was killed by a drunk driver instantly. They couldn't even identify her. It took hours because of the fingerprints that only prevented her identity, but finally they found it. And my granddaughter, Samantha Alex Robles Hahn, her life was tragically taken by a drunk driver, and she was only 30 years of age, gotten her master's, ready to start her life as a social worker and help those who truly need help. And that drunk driver, unfortunately, took her life. So this is a profound loss to our family, but a tragedy no family should endure. Tragedies like this that are highlighted today shouldn't happen, and we can stop it. Believe me, think about it. People who drive drunk, it's not the very first time. They've done it over and over and over, and we've got to do something, and this bill will do it. Unfortunately, it takes something like this to bring us all together. It's a profound loss to my family, no doubt, but how about your family? How about your Christmas? How about your New Year's, your Easter Sunday? God knows when. But it can happen to your family, believe me, and we've got to stop it. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue. It is a family issue. It's life and death. And we have the support of all the agencies that take care of us, the Highway Patrol and our local police and firefighters, first responders, nurses, doctors, everyone. They're going to support us because we're saving lives. It is important that we emphasize that Samantha's death could have been prevented. And I think that it is so important that we realize that it can stop a tragedy from happening. So as legislators, it is our duty to step up. And I know all my senators and the assembly members, our colleagues here in Sacramento, are going to step up and say, we've got to do this. This device will save lives. The ignition interlock device, it's a common sense solution. And I want to thank the assembly member once again for introducing the bill. And I will tell you, it is my honor to be a co-sponsor. And I think all of us should remember AB 366 as a life-saving bill. And I thank you all for being here. And so now I've asked our next speaker to help me start with my daughter, Mothers Against Drunk Driving in Victorville. And I would like to introduce Ms. Flores, and if she can come up and take over. And I thank you for the lives you've saved over the years. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning. My name is Tara Repka Flores, and I am a MAD National Ambassador so that I can help end impaired driving crashes like the one that took my son Alec from my family. Thank you all for being here today. Your work to end impaired driving gives me hope for a future when no other lives are stolen by this crime. Alec Flores was a real person. He was killed by a drunk driver, but he isn't just a statistic. He was 2 weeks from his 14th birthday. His favorite jogging shoes were gray Brooks, and he liked jeans from Hollister, but his favorite pair were khaki colored, and he was wearing them the day he died. I brought one of his t-shirts to show you to help you imagine Alec, a real human being who could be standing here today if it wasn't for drunk driving. He mowed the lawn in fancy tennis shoes and turned them green and didn't care. He loved sushi and spicy food and eating healthy except for when he ate junk. He was wicked funny, and he could control a whole classroom and command the whole football stadium when he played because of his intensity. His teachers couldn't control him, but some of his coaches could channel his energy. He was my only son, and my life will never be the same without him. My son, Alec Flores, was killed by a drunk driver on October 7th, 2019, a few minutes after 8 a.m. in the morning. He was in the 8th grade. Alec was walking to school when he was killed. He liked walking to school. He said it made him feel better when he got there. He was doing the most innocent thing that a kid can do. The mother of some of his schoolmates ran him over with her own 3 kids in the car. She left the scene and left Alec to die on the side of the road. We learned later that the driver's BAC, when tested almost 4 hours after the crash, was 0.24, which is 3 times the legal limit. We lost our son and our sense of community, our trust that other parents at school would be part of the community that would help keep our kids safe. But most importantly, Alec lost his future. When Alec died, he had a list of goals written down in a notebook on his desk. He wanted to win the Boys State Wrestling Championship during his 8th grade year. Here's his notebook. He never got a chance to try to be the state champion. His 4th place finish at Boys State in the 7th grade was the best he got. The school dance in the spring of 7th grade was the second and last school dance he ever got to go to. His football teammates finished the 2019 season without him, their hearts broken by the loss of the soul of their team. Alec lived with such intensity. The quiet stillness left is really excruciating. We can't quite figure out what to do with ourselves without him, and can't really imagine living forever without him. Thank you for inviting me to share Alec's story today. As the mother of a child killed by a drunk driver, I support anything we can reasonably do to stop impaired driving. Saving lives with every start through an Ignition Interlock program for DUI offenders is so important. The CDC says an offender arrested for their first DUI has driven on average intoxicated 80 prior times. As soon as someone is arrested for DUI, an Ignition Interlock can be an immediate step to stop a dangerous pattern that exists in impaired drivers. Please help save the next child's life by supporting this Assembly bill. We are counting on you. In memory of Alec and all the victims of impaired driving, every one of us can do the right thing by never drinking and driving. Please always plan ahead for a sober ride. Thank you. And I will introduce the next speaker, District Attorney Ho. Thank you.
California is facing a drunk driving crisis. As the Assemblywoman said, 8 out of the 10 cities in the entire country that have the highest DUI rates are right here in California, from LA to San Jose to right here, the state's capital, Sacramento. And these statistics, they're not just statistics. They're lives that have been lost, whether it's Samantha, whether it's Alex, lives that have been torn to pieces, families shredded, communities in despair because of the havoc that DUI have wreaked upon our community. And Ignition Interlock devices is the way that we can prevent these crimes. Statistics show that in states where you have Ignition Interlock devices that require an individual to breathe into it, and if you're drunk, you can't start the car. In states where those laws are in place, where every individual, whether you have 1 DUI, 2 or 3, have to have an Ignition Interlock device installed, the DUI rates have gone down by 15%. And as Tara had mentioned a moment ago, statistics show that a person would drive drunk 80 times before they are actually arrested. So these crimes are entirely preventable. So I stand here today with grandfathers, with mothers, with community members, with assembly members and state senators, asking that this law, AB 366, pass. Because this is about common sense, not nonsense. It's not about going right or going left. It's about moving forward on public safety. And so we ask that this law, AB 366, pass, because it's the right thing to do to save lives. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to introduce the next speaker, the Chief of Police and the immediate past president of the California Police Chiefs Association, Alex Gamelgard. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Alex Gamelgard. I am the Chief of Police for the City of Grass Valley, just about an hour from here, and I am the immediate past president of the California Police Chiefs Association. On behalf of myself and my 334 police chief colleagues across the state of California tasked with protecting our communities, we stand firmly in support of AB 366, which you have heard about this morning. We also heard that statistics paint a picture of a problem that we need to address, and with solutions we know that work. Data shows that in cases where ignition interlock device is installed, that we can reduce recidivism of DUI offenses by up to 70%. But what those statistics fail to capture, which I think you've heard some about this morning, are the lives that are torn apart. The families who are missing loved ones, and the overall suffering of all those affected by this needless tragedy we call drunk driving. Prevention is as much a part of policing as is enforcement, which is why we have always supported the use of tools we know are effective in deterring crimes, not just detecting them. While we know we can't prevent every drunk driver from getting behind the wheel and risking their lives and the lives of others, we know we can prevent many, and that will always be worth our efforts. I would like to thank Assemblymember Petrie-Norris for her continued and ongoing consistent support for public safety in the state of California, and all those joining in supporting this measure. Next, I would like to introduce the President of the California Association of Highway Patrolmen, Jake Johnson.
Good morning, everybody. Like the Chief said, my name is Jake Johnson. I represent the California Association of Highway Patrolmen. It's the largest state police trooper union association in the nation. I represent 16,000 active and retired CHP sworn personnel. Besides the victims of DUI, besides the family members of the victims of DUI, nobody knows the devastation of the crime of DUI more than CHP officers out there doing the job of DUI enforcement 24 hours a day, 365 a year. We have seen the devastation of this crime. Make no mistake, when somebody is killed by the crime or maimed by the crime of DUI, it's a violent and atrocious crash. I have personally witnessed this. I've been assigned to patrol for 23 years. I worked night shift for 15 years where I saw this. In some of the places, I'm assigned to LA right now. I previously worked Bakersfield. I've worked the Bay Area. I have seen this personally, and it's devastating. And it transcends all walks of life, all genders, all races, ages. I've seen it all. And it's devastating and disgusting, and it's totally preventable. And these types of laws, like AB 366, are so relevant to this day. We have 40 million registered vehicles in the state of California. That is a lot of drivers, and there's not enough cops out there to go out. We can't arrest everybody out there. We need this device. California should be on the forefront of technology. We shouldn't be behind, and we're behind when it comes to interlock devices. And so that's why I stand with the legislature. I stand tall with them, and on behalf of the 16,000 retired and active highway patrolmen, we stand with you to support this bill. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to welcome up Assemblymember Ransom.
Thank you for being here. Good morning. I'm Assemblymember Rhodesia Ransom, representing the 13th District, and I'm proud to support and join in on Assembly Bill 366. In my district, we know all too well the devastating impact of drunk driving. In 2022 alone, we saw 800 DUI-related case crashes, and too many families suffered unimaginable losses of their loved ones. I personally will never forget the horrific cries when I received a call regarding a friend's 3-year-old child that was killed in a drunk driving accident. In court, we learned that this was not the first offense, this was not the second offense, this was the third offense of this driver. So it's important that we do everything that we possibly can. And every year, more parents receive calls that their children have fallen victim of life-changing drunk driving incidences. This bill represents our opportunity as a state to step up and change that, to expand the work that we're currently doing. Ignition interlock devices have been proven to reduce deaths in every state that requires them by stopping folks from starting their cars. And that's where we can start, by stopping people from even getting on the road. Requiring these devices helps hold people accountable. It ensures they're keeping themselves and the rest of us safe on the road. This legislation provides a fair approach. It allows offenders to continue driving legally to work and take care of their families, while ensuring that they do safely, while they get the help that they need to overcome the addictions of drunk driving. Using these devices, it keeps all of us safe. But California has to do all that we can to keep drivers alert and aware and sober. This is a balanced policy. This is not a one-sided approach. This helps public safety without unnecessarily burdening those working through rehabilitation. Every state that has this law has enacted strong legislation like this, has seen success. And it's time for us to make sure that we are doing our part. So I'd like to thank Assemblymember Petrie-Norris for your tireless work to address this issue in our communities. And I look forward to working with all of you to see that this essential protection is signed into law. And lastly, I want to thank you for sharing Alex's story. We need stories like that because it's important that we humanize this. We're not trying to solve an invisible problem. These are real lives that will never be the same. So thank you so much for the opportunity to get this bill passed. Let's get it done. And with that, I want to invite Assemblymember Esmeralda Soria.
Thank you so much. And I first and foremost want to thank Assemblymember Petrie-Norris for introducing this bill yet again. And I'm proud to stand here yet again because that is how important this issue is for our community, for Alex's family, for the countless other victims of DUI drunk driving. And so I also want to thank MAD, the survivors, the district attorney, our law enforcement partners for standing with us in this endeavor. I am proud to be a co-author. I applaud, the efforts again, and we're not going to stop until this gets signed because the voices of Alec and their families need to be heard here in the Capitol. And I hope that also the governor hears how important this is. Make no mistake, as you guys have heard, California absolutely has a drunk driving crisis. Our state has racked up 125,000 DUI arrests in 2023. That's more than 304 DUI arrests every single day. Think about that. 340 DUI arrest every single day. We have to get these numbers down. There's no question about it because it is families across this state that are being impacted. As mentioned, this Ignition Interlock device program is helping to get those numbers down, but unfortunately that program is also expiring. So AB 366 will renew this program and once again continue the fight to keep our roadways safe. Again, we've heard it. This is about prevention, 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 and it is a very critical tool. Just before New Year's, one of our Central Valley communities suffered an unspeakable tragedy and lost a member of their community, a patriarch of a large family and a fellow Californian who happened to be driving on the same road as someone who was highly intoxicated while driving. A program like this, like the IID program and this bill, will renew and could have saved this man's life. It could have saved other people's lives. And so, I want to make sure that, again, we hear the real stories, the impacts that families across the state have suffered because we haven't done enough to prevent the devastation, as was mentioned by our law enforcement partners. Again, I am proud to be here this morning to continue to give a voice to those that don't have a voice and to ensure that no more families are impacted by drunk driving on our roadways. Thank you again, Assemblywoman, for your leadership on this issue. Thank you for those stories that were shared so that we do give a face to those that are that have been impacted by drunk driving. And so now I'll pass it on to my fellow colleague, Assemblymember Crowell.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I want to thank Assemblymember Cottie Petrie-Norris for her leadership on this issue. This is an imperative here in California. I will tell you I used to be a prosecutor. One of the first big cases that I did, I was a deputy district attorney in San Joaquin County, where my colleague, Assemblymember Ransom, represents now. It was what's called a DUI with injury. The person injured was a 12-year-old girl. She was walking into a convenience store to get a snack, and I'll never forget the pictures that I saw of her, but a drunk driver who had been caught drunk driving many times before rammed over the curb and into the side of the convenience store right when she was walking, and she was mashed against the wall. Her injuries were extremely severe, hip, leg, ankle. Needless to say, she also didn't get to go to her 7th grade dance, couldn't play soccer. And I remember them saying, well, she was lucky. Indeed. But it was preventable. And it should have been prevented for her, and it should be prevented for everyone else. And that's what this interlock device law does. And we didn't have the technology back then that we have now. Now we have an opportunity to extend this program, to do this right, and to try and reduce the injuries and deaths that are caused by drunk driving in California. I strongly support this bill. I'm honored that you thought of me to be a co-author on it. I support this cause and look forward to partnering with you from here on out.
Well, thank you. And I just want to say thank you to all of my colleagues for your partnership and your leadership on this critical crisis. I want to thank our law enforcement partners for standing with us, and I especially want to thank Tara and Senator Archuleta for being here and for sharing our stories. But for the grace of God, right? But for the grace of God, this could be any of us. This could be any of our sons, our daughters, our granddaughters. And we have an opportunity here in California. We have an opportunity to take action and to save lives. And AB 366 will save lives with every start. So once again, I appreciate all of you for being here today. I appreciate the work that we are going to do together. We will pass AB 366 into law and keep our communities and our roads safe. With that, thank you for being here. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them at this point.
When are you planning to introduce this bill?
We introduced the bill yesterday. Yes, and so we are looking forward to the start of committee hearings, which will happen in about a month or two.
And obviously, this is a good thing. It's a good cause. It's a small part of the bigger problem. So moving forward, is there anything preventing this from being implemented as like a factory standard in every vehicle that's manufactured going forward in the future? And if not, why isn't this something that can be, let's say, mandated and implemented, like when you go to register your vehicle with the DMV or that type of thing, that device needs to be installed in every type of vehicle?
It's a great question, and I think there's always opportunities for us to continue to do more work. We want to make sure that we're able to get this bill done and ensure that anyone who's been convicted of a drunk driving offense does have an IID installed so that we can make sure that they keep themselves and all of us safe. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and appreciate your support.